Good evening. Welcome to everyone here, those watching by ITV and those watching via live stream, and calling the September 13th, 2022 board meeting to order. This is our regular meeting and everyone is present. And with that, the Army JROTC from Kearney High School is here, and I'd like for everyone to stand for the presentation of the colors. Trustee Nepomuceno, would you please lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. It's a little bit different, but that's okay. I would like to have a motion for today's board agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Second on that? Thank you. So we have a motion by Beiser and seconded by Bowser. Let's see, let's get Nepomuceno's vote first. And then Quitoriano.
Aye.
And everybody else, please vote electronically. No, it's kind of tough, but thank you. That passes 5-0, and the students concurred with us. Thank you. Now, let us move on through our agenda.
Today's meeting of the Board of Education is a business meeting that is conducted in public. Board Bylaw 1025 sets the time limit for public comment on agenda items at 10 minutes per side, pro and con, or 20 minutes total. Speakers will be able to provide testimony at the beginning of the appropriate agenda item or at the end of the meeting for non-agenda public comment. The list of public speakers is attached to agenda item B2. Please listen for your name to be called. Speakers are listed and called in the order received. When your name is called, please come to the podium to speak. Speakers participating via Zoom will be asked to unmute when their name is called. If you are unable to unmute yourself, we will call the next speaker. Zoom does not allow staff to access your personal device to unmute a speaker. Please follow along with the agenda so you know when your item is coming up for discussion. If you would like to sign up for public comment, iPads are available in the back of the auditorium and in the lobby.
Thank you. And we have no student presentations today, so with that, we'll report out on our closed session.
We have no items to report out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Jackson.
Thank you, President Dr. Whitehurst-Payne. This evening, I have one specific appointment this evening, and that will be the principal for Marshall Elementary School. And congratulations to Yvonne Munguia, who will be joining the Marshall team. I also have a few announcements of appointments that I made in during the summer months, and so I'm proud to announce the following positions. Associate Principal for the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts, Richard Ojeda. Principal for the Logan Memorial Educational Complex, Kimberly Wright. Welcome to San Diego. Look forward to working with you. We also have Principal for Toller Elementary School, Lori Francis, who'll be returning to San Diego Unified. And also would like to welcome, and she's in attendance, our Director of Government Relations, Dr. Sierra Cook, joining us from Sacramento, and she'll be based in Sacramento, so thank you and welcome. We also have a few other positions: Associate Principal for Hage and Sandberg Elementary, Janice Jones-Ligon. Congratulations. We look forward to your continued work in the Mira Mesa community. We also have Instructional Support Officer for the Extended Learning Opportunities Division, and that'll be Toby Pace. My apologies, Sabrina, in advance. Instructional Support Officer, my apologies. Community Schools, Jason Babineau. And also joining us from the southern region of our county, Instructional Support Officer A through G, Roman Del Rosario. Welcome to San Diego Unified, and that concludes our appointments for this evening.
Thank you, and for those of you who don't know the inside jokes, we hassle over our people. Once you get into school, we don't want them to leave, but unfortunately, they want promotions too. So congratulations to all of them. And with that, we will now move to our ASB report today. And it comes from the ASB president at San Diego High School. And is that Ali DeBoer?
Yes, Ali DeBoer.
Yes.
Okay. So hello, I'm the San Diego High School president. So within our ASB, at the moment we are working on our beginning of the year activities as well as fundraising by selling our ASB cards. Also as an ASB, we are working on reorganizing and restructuring our ASB to include a new committee and commissioner positions, one of which includes our student voice commissioner. So this month we're holding our first ever student forum in order to get more student feedback in our school activities. Within our school, our 3 small schools have now become one school, so this is the first year of our school being a unified campus, though our other academic programs and pathways like MedTech Academy, Geotech Academy still remain despite there no longer being 3 small schools, and the start of construction for the renovation of our campus has gone underway, and we are working through that. So that is all. Thank you.
So you have fewer students, right?
Same amount of students, just instead of being split up into 3 different small schools, we're now all considered under the same school.
Yes, so next year, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Congratulations and thank you. And with that, Superintendent Jackson, your report.
Thank you, President Dr. Whitehurst-Payne. Gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone back to the 22-23 school year. And we are excited to welcome our students, our staff, our parents back to join with us as we focus on equity, belonging, and thriving environments for our students. And, you know, this year is certainly different than the last couple of years, and we should all acknowledge that. And, you know, we had an opportunity to launch priorities around mental health. And this is what we have as a board, superintendent and staff, our students have articulated are our top priorities, and mental health is at the top. We also have launched a priority around extended learning, and you'll hear a little bit about that in LCAP Goal 3, but continuing that effort to provide these opportunities to our students. In addition, we are very excited, and actually Dr. Cook worked with us in her previous position on our priority around universal TK, transitional kindergarten. And we have classes at all of our elementary schools, and some of our campuses have 2 and some have 3 classrooms. And so we're very excited as we saw an increase in our enrollment because of this. And so we're very excited to have that as a priority, along with standards-based learning, teaching, and grading. This is something that we carry over from the last few years as a priority from the board, and we want to be able to do it more deeply and more broadly across our school system, and so we're excited about that. And then also, along with that, I know we've done our Teach Lead, but really focusing on staffing and staff development, growth and development. And so those will be our priorities this year from the superintendent's position. Alongside the board, our students have had strong voices around these concerns, so we're really excited about that. Very, very excited and optimistic for this upcoming school year. First week of school, yes, you probably did catch me on a tricycle, a little small for me, but the students in our UT class, some of our kinders out on the playground, I couldn't help myself. Large kid in me says, get out there and try to ride the bike. It wasn't as graceful and not as fast as the young folks, but we did get out there. Was able to visit LMEC and kick off the first day of the school year. Mason Elementary, Golden Hill Elementary. We got out to Horton, we got out to Spreckles, Wangenheim, Nippaway, our newest school in Trustee Beiser's district, and as I mentioned, Sequoia. I want to thank our Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, who visited Morris High School, and I know we just saw the Kearney JROTC, but she was able to visit Morris High School and really talk around civic engagement and really being a part of work in the community. And we even have a few students that may take her up on an offer to go into politics, perhaps. And so it was really exciting, very engaging with the students. Also want to close by thanking Pro Tem Atkins for her advocacy for our newcomer students. And really excited because she was able to advocate for additional funding for our students to cover translation services and other supports that our new students have coming from different countries, war-torn communities, so our refugee students. So thank you to both Congresswoman Jacobs and Pro Tem Atkins. And thank you to our students, our staff, our families for showing up and continuing to be unified. With that, I conclude with Ubuntu. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Jackson. And now every board member will have an opportunity to speak or to do whatever for 2 minutes. And we usually like to start with our students. So, okay.
Thank you. So last month, I had the privilege of joining Zoe Geller-Alford, senior at Point Loma High School, and Chelsea Long, junior at Mission Bay High School, to film the instructional video for the implementation of Bill AB 367, or the Menstrual Equity for All Act, which requires free period products to be supplied in all schools containing 6th to 12th graders. Zoe and Chelsea have done such incredible work in advising the passage and now implementation of this bill, and I'm beyond excited that these product dispensers have already been installed in women's and gender-neutral bathrooms, as well as men's rooms in middle and high school campuses throughout our district. Throughout the summer and into the school year, I've also collaborated with Chief of Police Alfonso Contreras to establish the district's Police Youth Advisory Committee in efforts to strengthen trust and cultivate meaningful conversation between students and campus police. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Nepomuceno, right? Always, I love to say it now. Okay, how about you, Doriano?
Thank you, Dr. Sharon Whitehurst-Payne. It's really good to be back here after such a long hiatus with summer. And over summer, I've been incredibly busy. I had the privilege of attending an ethnic studies workshop, which was incredibly interesting. And I am so, so thankful that us as a district, we have the tools and we have the classes available for students to learn so much about themselves, where they come from, and how that ties into the greater story of America. It was truly an amazing presentation to watch, and it really, really showed how far we've come as a district. I also had the privilege of attending a graduation ceremony of all of our summer graduates. They're students that have worked incredibly, incredibly hard to get where they are today, and I'm so glad that they can finally graduate. And regarding back to school, I know a lot of students definitely we're very much thinking about coming back to school. I know that I'm incredibly excited and happy to be back. Part of what coming back to school meant for me was building our student advisory board. The student advisory board, we really think it's important to have student input on really a lot of things that go on the board and give students that voice that they need to be successful and have part in so much legislation that rules them. Thank you.
And thank you. And with that, we'll move on. Let's just do my right first. Trustee Weiser.
Thank you, President Whitehurst-Payne. I'm so excited that we're beginning another school year in San Diego Unified, especially opening up a new school in Nippaway in the first elementary school in Mission Valley. That's a phenomenal education facility. I want to thank Lee and everybody in the development, in the facilities department and construction, all the people that have worked so hard for so long to make sure that we open the school on time and on budget. Thank you for doing that. I really also have been working with a variety of folks about the upcoming bond measure that will be on the November ballot. I hope that as you look at the information, that you just make a solid decision in support of this bond measure to make sure that we continue to fund public education in San Diego. A vote for this bond measure for San Diego schools will not result in an increase in taxes at all. Everybody will just maintain the current same tax rate. It's the right thing to do for our children, because it's often said that the best measure of a civilization is how we treat our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Meyer.
We're going around. Yeah, thank you. So tonight I will give attention to our garden programs around the district, and I want to thank Dan Howe and our Public Information Department for the video that I'm going to share. 2 moms in the Point Loma cluster, Caitlin Mitchell and Renee Bransky, enrolled their children in kindergarten at Silvergate Elementary School, and they got involved. So they created a parent-led garden program that won the 2022 Classroom of the Future Foundation's Inspire Award. Let's play the video and see how this happened.
It's noon on a Friday at Silvergate Elementary as these 2 moms, volunteers, Caitlin Mitchell and Renee Bransky, prep this outdoor classroom.
Each child gets about 25 to 30 minutes of garden instruction every week. And our goal is to make it as interactive, active, hands-on as possible.
This duo met way back in 2015 when their oldest sons started at the school.
We got along really well.
They got tapped to lead the school's garden program, and to say it's been thriving is an understatement.
I love coming here. It's really fun.
They use a curriculum that Caitlin, a former teacher and avid gardener, spent 5 years creating.
I call it rutabaga just because I like the sound of it.
With rich content and beautiful visuals for different grades and seasons, including dozens of lessons and activities. Today, they release pest-eating ladybugs.
This is a really good experience.
Oh. We call it a garden-based science program, but it also incorporates nutrition, it incorporates nature. We tie in a lot of the grade-relevant math and social studies.
Renee organizes about 40 volunteers that use rutabaga education and lead the classes here.
Our goal is that a non-green thumb can come and teach.
Their story has a bittersweet twist. After 7 years, their time here is nearly done. Their youngest sons graduate this spring.
I just wanted to create something that could exist long after my boys were students at the school.
In fact, other schools and organizations are using rutabaga education, and they hope to keep on planting it elsewhere.
Thank you.
Thank you,
So,
Mike.
before you go on, I do want to apologize. I'll be leaving the meeting early to attend the 212th anniversary of the independence of Mexico. So I'll be leaving to attend that to represent our district at that event.
Thank you. And he had to show the garden. I think I'm not going to be a gardener now. Mine didn't work this summer. So with that, trustee.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Whitehurst-Payne. I just want to thank all of our educators and all of our students for getting the entire district off to a good start, especially in the heat that we've all been experiencing. And I want to do a special shout out to Allie and Matthew at San Diego High. We know that San Diego High is a little behind all the rest of our schools because we've had to go through this process of getting our lease signed with the city. But now, as Allie said, we're able to move forward with our improvements, which include air conditioning in every classroom that is made possible by prior bond measures by the leadership of Trustee Beiser. And a special shout out to Drew Rollins and Gary Patel and our operations, and Lee Dolgaroff, our operations and maintenance staff. I know you've been working overtime these past couple of weeks to get out there and fix air conditioning systems that have gotten overloaded and provide portable units. It's been a lot of work, but you've done a great job, and that's allowed us to have a good start to our school year. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that, Vice President Basso.
Thank you, President Whitehurst-Payne. I'm also very excited about the school year getting started. I did have the opportunity this summer to go to Boston. It was a program through the Council of Greater City Schools at Harvard Business School, and there were school boards from across the country, and so it was wonderful to meet a lot of different individuals that work in large urban school districts. You know, we had a lot in common, obviously, and making those connections was inspiring. And I had Dr. Jackson with me as well. And as much as it was great to learn more about other school districts, we also decided that we were very fortunate to be here in San Diego because we still feel like ours is the best. And also, I attended the Helix Mira Mesa game right before school started, and it didn't go so well for Mira Mesa, but it was a fun time. And Principal Sabins at Mira Mesa did a nice for all the incoming ninth graders. He had a barbecue set up for all of them at the beginning of the game, just to make them feel welcomed. Their first football game as freshmen. And they also did a program for the incoming freshmen called What's Your Why? And basically, the vice principals, the principal couldn't attend that day. He was with the other principals at the meeting, but just talking to the kids about why they're in education, why they're inspired to be there every day for the students. And I spoke as well just about why we're here. And I just found it very, it was just gratifying to be able to share that with the students. And hopefully maybe it inspired some of them to possibly go into education as well. So again, excited to be here, and that's my report.
Thank you all. And I want to just say thank you to everyone, not only to Lee and Drew, but to every employee of San Diego Unified. Because believe it or not, in all of my years, I think this was the best opening I've ever seen. Yeah. And you know I have a few years, but this was the best. No complaints, and I visited, maybe 9, 10 schools in the last couple of weeks, and when I walk on campus, I don't only want to talk to the principal, but I want to talk to the security folks at the gate. And they were just like, the kids came in and they knew where they were going, and they went to class, and they're not hanging out, and they're just focused. And I'm walking out of Crawford High School, walking down the driveway to my car, and teachers are teaching, and students are, they're about business, they're learning. So I was definitely impressed with this year. I think it was by far the best opening, and I want to say congratulations to you and the staff, for every one of you, for all of your hard work this year. And I think we have a quick video. They tell me it's 30 seconds, but this is the school that my husband told me that I think the guy went crazy with the touchdowns or football, whatever. So let's see. It was football, yes. So let's roll the tape.
Is alive. We are engineers. We are artists. We are inventors, communicators, creators, innovators. We are champions. We are the change makers, the playmakers, the movers and shakers, the future leaders of our city and beyond. We are Lincoln High School.
They had the first game on Saturday night. I did tape it, and I did watch it, and most of it. But he got a lot of touchdowns, I think so.
And this was actually the first high school game televised on TV in San Diego.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, we did well. Yay for San Diego Unified. We did well. Okay. Thank you, and congratulations to Lincoln High School and all of the staff there, especially the coaches and the students who did the work this time. Okay, let us move on now to item E1, which is the approval of the English learner reclassification.
I'll move item E1.
Thank you, and a second by Dr. McCrary. Thank you. And with that,
Thank you, President Dr. Whitehurst Payne. In consultation with our DLAC, our District English Language Advisory Committee, the Office of Language Acquisition is requesting your approval this evening to approve the updated information. This is in regards to the alternative reclassification process for duly identified English learners that includes our 2022-23 summative alternate English language proficiency assessments of California, what we call our LPAC reclassification criteria. So this was some modifications we made. Again, this is adding a few components like the Fountas and Pinnell reading assessment as another option for students to meet the reclassification criteria number 2. Additionally, we are now using the fast reading risk band level in lieu of cut points, as the cut points are variable throughout the school year. While much of the content is the same, as I mentioned, the plan has been revised. It is also updated with the alternate LPAC assessment information, and so we're asking for that approval this evening. Thank you.
thank you, and we have no speakers, so it's all, the matter is all settled. We just need to vote. So with that, if no board members have any comment, we'll start over here with you, Kitoriano.
Aye.
Nepomuceno.
Aye.
And the rest of you, push the buttons, please, and that passes unanimously with the students concurring with us. Thank you. Thank you for that item. E2 is our report on the Level Up Summer Program, morning
Yes.
program. So-
Thank you, Dr. Whitehurst Payne, and we will be reporting out on our extended learning program. So I'm going to invite Jen Roberson and Nicole DeWitt, along with our ethnic studies resource teachers, who will be presenting on our district's commitment to providing extended learning opportunities. So this is a comprehensive view. And we will get updates on our summer morning academic program as well as our summer enrichment program. So please join me in welcoming staff. I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. My colleague Nicole DeWitt and I are here to present and provide an update on LCAP 3 and focus in on our extended learning opportunities throughout the summer. So on this slide, you'll notice that there are 6 priorities that we focus on for extended learning purposes. We have our summer morning academic program, our acceleration and credit recovery, our enrichment, which happens throughout the academic year and to the summer, our middle school athletics program, the expansion of prime times, which is our extended day programs for our elementary TK through 8 and then middles. And then also we're going to be talking about our tutoring and peer counseling programs. It's important to note that these icons signal to us transitions throughout our presentation, so we'll draw your attention to those icons as we progress. Next slide. This slide reflects our morning academic program enrollment. You'll notice that the blue bar graph denotes summer 2021. The teal bar graph denotes the enrollment for summer 2022. You'll notice that our overall enrollment for our morning academic program in our elementary, middle, and high increased by 638 students. I want to draw your attention to the noticeable decline in our Tier 1 priority students and recognize that this decline is actually attributed to our high schools implementing credit recovery this past spring, which lowered our need for our students to participate in summer by roughly around 1,100 students. San Diego Unified was fortunate to partner with the Cesar Chavez Foundation to design our curriculum for the entire UTK through 8 summer program. Our learning was well-rounded. It infused and strengthened literacy and numeracy, as well as integrated social-emotional learning for our students. I want to lift up and share a quote from our 4th grade educator at Sequoia Elementary. Ms. Warner, a 4th grade educator, shared that her 4th grade students really internalized the idea of community. She says that she saw her students come out of their shell. They were excited to share about themselves, and they built a very safe space where they wanted to share who they were. And as we progress in the next few slides, I'm going to share about the progress of our students in the morning academic program, in particular our elementary and middle schools. So we know that students grow the most academically when they are personally connected to their curriculum and to their classroom community. This past summer, we focused on growth mindset and measured the growth of the students personally and socially with the use of our summer curriculum with the Cesar Chavez Foundation. The blue bar graph shows baseline data for growth mindset competencies for our students at the start of summer in grades 3 through 5 and students in grades 6 through 8 as measured by a core SEL survey 4-point scale. And the teal bar graph shows the students' growth mindset increased over the 5-week program. The next slide showcases our middle and elementary experience with regards to the curriculum. The curriculum was not only culturally responsive, but embedded social-emotional learning throughout each of the lessons. And as you can see, it led to student growth in our writing. The blue bar graph shows baseline writing assessment data for students at the start of summer in grades 1 through 5 on a 3-point scale, and students in grades 6 through 8 on a 4-point scale. The teal bar graph shows that students in grades 1 through 5 grew at an average of 0.67 points, and students in grades 6 through 8 grew at an average of 0.79 points during the 5-week instructional program. In keeping in line with our morning academic programs for our elementary and middle, I'm excited to share that Baker Elementary, in conjunction with our math department and math transformation, hosted a Math Explorer Camp for over 184 UTK students that focused on developing mathematical curiosity and building positive math identities. In addition to our student learning, 24 of our very own educators also engaged in professional learning before and after the camp. And I wanted to lift up one of the quotes by our educator. One of our educators shared that the camp improved my teaching by providing me with the opportunity to show how engaging, enriching activities can make learning joyful to students. Students can be motivated to explore and love mathematics by tapping into their curiosity. And now I'm going to transition into our acceleration and credit recovery for our high school students. Our high school students participated in both acceleration and credit recovery this past summer. 19 high school summer sites offered 2 3-week sessions where our students were able to recover up to 4 credits. While it's commendable that 13,011 of the 15,203 total marks grades issued counted towards graduation, I want us all to pause and pay attention to the 1,900 97 F marks issued. And I want us to think and ask ourselves if we understand the root cause behind the F marks. And then ask ourselves, are we really preparing and putting our resources and holding ourselves accountable to what it's going to take to work to address the root causes behind both the D's and the F's, as you see. In addition to credit recovery, we also provided acceleration opportunities for our students. So I'm very happy to announce that over 300 of our students participated in acceleration program through UC Scout, taking an approved AP course this past summer. Okay. And this slide reflects our graduation cohort data. The light blue bar graph shows cohort graduation data for class of 2021. The darker blue graph shows preliminary cohort graduation data for class of 2022. Our preliminary overall graduation rates slightly increased by 1.3%. There was a 4.3 increase in graduation rates for students receiving special education services and a 2.7 increase for Hispanic subgroup. While there is subtle growth across subgroups, the data reaffirms the importance of our high schools understanding the guiding principles for student schedules and working together on innovative practices to support the success of all of our students. And now at this time, I would like to call up our colleagues and invite Dr. Ricardo Medina, Dr. Kay Flewelling, and Brian Patugo, our ethnic studies resource teachers, to share and highlight our ethnic studies summer experience.
Check. Okay. Good evening, board trustees, Superintendent Jackson, SDUSD staff and community. Thank you, Jen and Nicole, for including us in this presentation. Ethnic studies is self, stories, systems, social movements, and solidarity. Ethnic studies is transformative. These are just some of the takeaways from participants of SDUSD's inaugural Ethnic Studies Summer Experience that I'm so excited to share with y'all. Some highlights. Over 100 students expressed initial interest when the course opened registration in the spring. 38 students from across the district, from rising 9th graders to rising 11th graders, participated and received first-time and makeup credit towards the Intro to Ethnic Studies course. We held class in the Centro Cultural de la Raza, a historically and culturally significant community center in our community. Movements was our central theme for the summer. We studied the movement of communities of color to and around San Diego and social justice movements among African American, Native American, Asian American, and Latinx communities. We experienced ethnic studies out in our local community at the Museum of Us, San Diego State University, and Chicano Park. And students engaged in a culminating community showcase that featured poetry, student-written teatro, and visual art inspired by their summer learning for an audience of SDUSD's families, teachers, district staff, and our beloved community members. To talk more about the students' photos presented up in this slide, I want to bring in Dr. Ricky Medina.
So in that slide, you're able to see some of the pictures that we were able to capture, right? And one of them that's the most favorite that I have is the picture of the Kumeyaay Tule boat and pottery making workshop with Dr. Stan Rodriguez. But some of those other pictures also bring into light the pedagogy that we utilized that was about community building, that we utilized that was about really bringing in courageous conversations and dialogue, that was really about centering student voice so they can share and build on their knowledge. So there's a lot of pictures, and we put them together in a YouTube link that I'm hoping all of you will get a chance to see if you have. And in those pictures, you know, we are very proud to be able to say that our students had workshops with community elders, like world-renowned Chicano Park artist Guillermo Aranda, or Auntie Makeda from the World Beat Center. Our students were exposed to the arts and had an opportunity to do a spoken word workshop with Gil Sotu, or a teatro, a theater workshop with California Endowment of the Arts award recipient and district employee Macedonio Arteaga. Our students had a chance to discuss conceptual concepts around race and power with professors like Michael Dominguez out of Chicano Studies at San Diego State, or Associate Professor Jojo Ruan in Asian American Studies. And so, but the pictures that you'll have a chance to see that we're the most proud of is our student showcase. And our student showcase was where students, some of them for the first time ever, had a chance to stand up on a stage, be able to speak, right? Coming in this time of the pandemic, to be able to speak to their family, to be able to speak to the community, their peers and educators, and be able to talk about identity poems and perform social movement actos. And so here to speak a little bit about our student perspectives and the data that we collected related to student perspectives is Dr. Kay Flewelling.
Hi. So these perspectives that I'm about to share from the students actually came from a collaboration that we did with Corinne Evans. She's the chair of the student subcommittee in the Ethnic Studies Advisory Committee, and she held several focus groups with students throughout the summer to actually capture these perspectives. So they didn't tell them to us, but we were pretty excited about what they had to say about it. One student said, this class is more than just about learning about history. This class is about learning about yourself and the point of view of others. The lessons taught here are ones that you can hold forever. Creativity, community, and critical consciousness are just some of the many insightful things that you will learn. Additionally, ethnic studies teaches you the power of your voice. You will be encouraged to speak your mind at every turn. And they were, as you can see in the photographs, it was constantly just focusing on what they had to say and their perspective of this important history. Another student actually highlighted the significance of this work being held at the Centro, and they expressed that the Centro is an excellent space for the cultural things we're exposed to. It was a very lively place with feeling and energy. In the Centro, you're jumping into this space that's already filled with life and culture, and you're becoming part of it. And that was a really powerful experience for all of us. It's something I'm still living off of in this beginning of the school year. And I once again want to thank Jen for asking us to share about this powerful work. So thank you guys.
Big thank you and gratitude to our ethnic studies colleagues for making that possible for students this summer. Thank you so much for your hard work. At this time, we're going to transition to talk about one of our other priority areas, which is our enrichment programs. So over the summer, the offering of summer enrichment programs was really a village. All of the departments that you see represented here worked in collaboration and coordination in partnership with the San Diego Foundation to make summer enrichment possible for our students. So we wanted to take a moment to personally thank Michelle Jaramillo, Dr. Pamela Gray-Payton, Susan Gwynn, and the whole San Diego Foundation team for giving our students unique learning opportunities throughout the summer. So on this slide, you'll see the number of individual students who participated in summer enrichment programs for summer 2021 and this past summer of 2022. This year, we saw an increase in student enrollment by more than 9,000 students in our enrichment programs, with our Tier 1 students making up 60% of the overall enrollment. We also increased the number of enrichment partners from 88 partners to 94, and that does not even include all the amazing programs offered by our own CCTE and VAPA departments.
Okay, so what you're going to see on this slide, it represents the enrichment programs that we offered by area, cluster, and type. This year, we hosted over 13 types of enrichment programs ranging from STEAM, sports and fitness, outdoor education, and day camps. As you can see, Area 5, which includes San Diego High, LMEC, Madison, La Jolla clusters, had the highest number of enrichment activities at 309, with Area 2 having the lowest at 47. And this is something to recognize as something that we are paying close attention to and making improvements as we continue to engage in this work. All of our programs that you see in each of the areas and clusters were purposely connected to our morning academic programs, so there was a seamless transition from the morning program to the afternoon programs. While we offered over 1,200 program sessions, this slide shines a light on types of programs that we need to dig a little deeper into and expand upon next summer and beyond. For example, we had one tutoring program in the Mira Mesa cluster where students benefited from peer tutoring. As Board Vice President Sabrina Bazo has lifted up and mentioned, we really need to pay close attention to our design and implementation of peer tutoring programs and tutoring programs across the district. So in the next slide, I'm going to speak into our next steps for growing our tutoring and peer counseling programs. So we are very fortunate to partner with MDRC to conduct a study of our tutoring programs that currently exist within San Diego Unified and help us develop a plan for moving forward. They will help us and work alongside us in developing that plan to bring to the board for approval. It's also important to note that we partnered with Hey Tutor. Hey Tutor is an organization that will be providing and working with us to provide over 378 in-person tutors to our elementary, middle, and high school students. I also want to highlight that we are providing more support for mental health and the social emotional well-being of our students through our partnership with Mending Matters at 8 of our high schools, as you can see on the screen. This past summer and continuing into the school year, we implemented the LIFE program. LIFE student advisors are trained by mental health professionals to identify and respond to the mental health needs of their school communities in the form of peer counseling. So with the assistance of MDRC, in working with Hey Tutor and with Mending Matters, we hope to address many of the academic and social emotional needs of our students. And now I'm going to pass it off to Nicole, who will talk through more enrichment highlights.
Thank you so much, Jen. So in addition to our enrichment programming, it was really important to us that we offered high-quality customer service to our families in order to match families and students with the enrichment program of their choice. So over the course of 4 months, our extended learning department assisted over 4,500 families through a daily district call center. I believe Dr. Whitehurst Payne and Dr. Jackson went and visited and answered a few phone calls themselves during that time. We also hosted some parent-guardian meetings in partnership with our family engagement department, making sure that translation services were available for our families so they could understand the information needed for enrollment. And we coordinated accommodations for our students to be able to access any enrichment activity that they desired. So we especially want to lift up and thank our paraprofessionals who provided over 1,500 hours of support to students throughout the summer enrichment programs. So now we're going to transition to another one of our priority areas, which is getting kids outside and getting them excited and active and moving. So for our middle school athletic program, we're very excited that 27 of our 36 middle schools launched this past spring, and over 1,200 students participated in middle school athletics, with 700 of those student athletes maintaining a 3.0 GPA or above. So you can see here on this slide our plans for expansion and offering more programs and more opportunities for participation throughout the year. Already for this fall, we have over 1,800 students signed up to participate. So as we close out our presentation tonight, we just want to reaffirm our commitment to the future. We will continue to support a robust morning academic program for the summer. We also want to ensure that we offer more access to acceleration as well as credit recovery courses before, after, and during the school day. We want to continue to grow our community partnerships across the city to support enrichment for our students. We want to add more options for a variety of sports throughout the year for our middle school athletics program. And as Jen mentioned at the beginning, we do plan to expand prime time to serve more schools and more students. So there will be more opportunities for before and after school care for our families. We also are really excited to implement our tutoring partnership with Hey Tutor, as well as our peer counseling program with Mending Matters. And so we wanted to take a moment to thank the board and the superintendent for all your support support and commitment to our extended learning priorities. I particularly wanted to say how excited we are to have Toby Pace join us as the new Instructional Support Officer for Extended Learning, but wanted to express my heartfelt gratitude and thanks for Dr. Jennifer Roberson. A year and a half ago, I approached her and asked her to take on this incredible task and opportunity, and she's done an amazing job setting the foundation for what's become just something that's beyond my wildest imagination that we could have accomplished in such a short period of time. So wanted to show my gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, Jen.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Dr. Mike. And I too want to say thank you because I know it was a lot of work and we've come a long ways. This was just a vision, wasn't it? And now it's come to fruition. And we just say thank you for that. We don't have any speakers, but trustees, if you want to say anything? Yes. Trustee.
Yeah, Jen and Nicole, I just, again, want to say thank you. It's this, as Dr. Whitehurst-Payne said, we had to build this program, sort of build the plane while we were flying it, you know, from the beginning. And you've done an amazing job, and to see the growth in the program from last summer to this summer is really phenomenal. It was also it's very good to see the before and after growth in the students who participated in the program around growth mindset, around writing scores. So, you know, it's just there's so much to build on, and I know that the work that you'll be doing with the superintendent over this next year is now that we've had a couple of years under our belt, now how do we institutionalize this in a way that takes the best of what we've done and what we've learned, and now you know, brings maybe a little bit more accountability to it, brings a little bit more clarity in our role as a district with the partners that we work with. So I know that that's a lot of work that you've already begun, you know, that is going to make the program even stronger. And I just want to also, you know, especially thank you for the implementation now of the peer counseling program. It's something that we've talked about, you know, for a couple of years, and to see this now with the relationship with Mending Matters coming to place at these initial high schools. We're going to look forward, you know, to a report at the right point, you know, about how that program is going, and look forward to hearing from some of the peer counselors who've been trained and are working with their fellow students. So, again, thank you for the effort, and I appreciate Nicole's slide of all of the different departments within the district that had to come together to make this work. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, it's very good. Thank you. Trustee Beiser.
Thank you, President Sharon Whitehurst-Payne. I want to say thank you to you and everybody on the staff that was involved. This has been just a dream come true for a lot of us on the board. And thank you very, very much. I mean, you know, to hear that there were 1,100 students that didn't need to go to summer school because they passed their classes during the school year through credit recovery or after-school tutoring or whatever kinds of support systems that were put in place to help them succeed, that is a fantastic model. And that's a great initiative on the part of you and the district. The other thing that I really would like to applaud is something that we on the board have heard since the beginning of prime time, is the wait lists. You know, if we have 120 children that need before and after school prime time support because of it's what their family needs, then how do we figure out how to accommodate all of those families to bring more children in to prime time, where we know that there's an academic component after school, so then those children are getting academic support as well. You know, the middle school athletic programs and the grade requirements to participate in those really helps children get ready for the high school GPA requirements to participate in CIF, because a lot of athletes get into the high school, they want to play sports, and then all of a sudden they get hit with this club over their head. Oh, you didn't make grades, you're off the team. Well, they can start learning that in middle school, and to figure out how do they create academic systems and schedules and routines, and where do they get the support. I believe I just received an email today that Governor Gavin Newsom has today announced that every student in the state of California will now have free 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, free tutoring. And all that any student at any school in the state of California needs to do is just log on to their local public library to create an account, and then they have access to a free tutor 24/7. This is a game changer, folks, for those students that are struggling and they don't maybe have the courage to go and ask a teacher or ask a friend. They're embarrassed. And so this is really, really important that students have access to get help in different ways. And that's really, really important. When I look at the middle school, you had reported that we have 27 middle schools participating in this athletic program. That is phenomenal. And that is a lot of work to get all those systems up, get coaches, figure out who's the best. But then there's the one question, and I'm so sorry to ask the question, but that's 27 out of 36. So who are those 9 schools that are not participating? Where are they located? Is it predominantly all over the school district? Is it predominantly in one neighborhood? And what are we doing to try? Is it because those middle schools are really, really small and they don't have the student enrollment numbers to make that program happen? So could you speak a little bit to those 9 schools that are not participating in middle school athletics, and is there some ideas to try to get them on board?
That's a great question. It's one thing that we're continuing to discuss with Lonnie Jones, who's our athletic coordinator for middle schools. I can highlight one example of a school. So in our high schools, we have a multi-campus agreement, which allows an atypical school like SCPA to try out and participate in their neighborhood athletic program. We do not have that multi-campus agreement for our middle schools. So SCPA, for example, sorry, Principal Farson, did not have enough students to field a team. Therefore, their students could not participate in their middle school neighborhood school. So we are exploring options to build upon those programs. The additional schools that you see were either they did not have enough students sign up to participate, and or they are our atypical smaller schools that we need to really dig deeper into and either transport students to a neighboring school, but we are working through that currently.
Great, thank you so much. And then my last comments are just thank you so much to Ethnic Studies. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing to help our children to grow up to value all cultures and to value all diverse people that make up our community. We are the United States of America. Look at our Olympic team. It looks like the world. And it's through that diversity that we do have more strength, in my opinion. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing and other educators to help children grow up not being judgmental of others, not generalizing and stereotyping, because stereotypes are really unfortunate, especially the stereotype of a white old male person. I'm probably an extremely, antithetical I'm the opposite of the stereotypical white male. So, all stereotypes are bad. Thank you.
Thank you for that lesson, sir.
Well, it's incredibly relevant given the current situation we have experienced with an educator that accused all white males of being fascists.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Whitehurst-Payne. And I also wanted to thank you guys. I'm so excited listening to the information you've provided, and also with the Ethnic Studies program. It just makes me feel excited for what's to come. And I was going to point out the difference with the areas because, of course, you know, 3 of those schools are in my area. So I'm glad you're working on trying to make sure it's a little bit more equitable in terms of the enrichment programs. I'm sure the ones that are there are fantastic, but for some of the areas that don't have as many, trying to increase that, I think it would be great. I also wanted to mention that I did attend the elementary school downtown. I'm blanking on the name, but it has a very high homeless population, and I attended with the VAPA board of directors, and there was quite a few VAPA Foundation programs going on there, and it's one thing for you to describe it, but to actually be there, I mean, I just encourage all the board members to try to go out to see some of the VAPA programs and event. Well, I know you guys do, but this particular school had for the whole summer program, they had dance programs going on. They were painting murals on the school. There was like a tap dance class. The whole campus was just alive. So that was really exciting to be able to see that all happening. And then also, I can't, of course, I know you guys are tired of me talking about the tutoring program, but I did want to give a shout out to Toby Pace, who was the principal at Hage and is now been promoted, because she and I worked this summer with students at Mira Mesa High School to bring students over to Hage to help out, particularly with the younger students at school. And also, she had a lot of UTK kids. She was concerned that she wanted a little more supervision. So initially we thought, oh, maybe we'll get like 20 kids from the high school. We ended up getting like 60 or 70 kids that came over just, of their own free will. They didn't have to be there. And some of them told us, because I brought Dr. Jackson out with me to see the program. The kids were crawling all over him. But they were saying, oh, I did this for a week because I thought I just needed community service. But so a lot of them ended up staying, because it wasn't just the kids, the elementary school kids that were getting the benefit of it. The high school kids were really enjoying it as well. And so now I'm very happy to say that we're extending that program into the school year as well, so they can continue to be going over. And hopefully we can, like we were talking about, bring that to other elementary schools as well. So I was just really pleased that I was just thinking more, oh, this has helped benefiting the elementary students, but the high school students were getting a lot out of it as well. So that was really nice to see. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you so much for all this great work that you're doing. I'm sure that a lot of us in the crowd and on the dais are almost a little jealous, wishing we can go back to middle and elementary school and have these programs available to us. So thank you so much.
Worse years. Worse.
So thank you so much for all the great work you're doing.
That's just my little thing with middle years. Yes.
I definitely agree with Trustee Catoriano. And once again, I just want to say thank you so much, Jen and Nicole, for bringing and highlighting the incredible work of the Ethnic Studies program. I had an amazing opportunity to attend the showcase, and it was incredible. A part that was very impactful to me personally was the I am statements at the kind of closing ceremony at the showcase, in which students lined up one by one, reaffirming their self, their stories, their culture, community, and their passions. And just witnessing their confidence is something that I'm very excited to see in the classroom. So thank you.
Thank you. And my comments, no offense to middle school students. I am your strongest advocate for an athletics program, right?
I agree.
Number
Well,
one.
You have
yeah.
6 others to compete with there. They're
Yeah,
pretty strong
but,
advocates, too.
yes, always said that. That's where I started out. But I don't have a desire to go back. I did visit the showcase at LMEC, and that was an awesome experience. Thank you all for all your hard work this summer with that program. We wish we could expand it so more students could participate in it, and I know you're few, but I like everybody to participate in something like that. It's really an awesome experience. I think Trustee Azzo for bringing this up, and you know that's on my list.
I made a note.
Yes, you know
I
my
made
list. I've got arrows going and whatever, and you know that. I want details. I want more details on that as far as programs are concerned. And then for the cohort graduation rates, I'd also just sidebar like to know what was going on with certain groups that were rare, that did not improve at all in terms of acceleration and credit recovery. I mean, what was happening with those particular groups and why the data looked like that. So I just want to say thank you again, and it was an awesome summer. I hope we can enhance that and go further in the future. I hope it's not a 2-year thing where they gave us money in 2 years and we did it, but we can continue with this, because this is the right way to teach students. We know what's best, we know what works, and we need to do that instead of just allowing others dictate.
Do we have a general sense of our planning out? How many years have we planned out for extended learning?
We have a 4-year plan extending into 24, 25.
You said, okay, very good. Thank you. So we're planning to continue and to enhance it, and that's wonderful. Thank you all. Very good. So parents, you hear that? Prepare now. If you want to go on vacation, then the month of August is usually open until we start early school, right? Yes.
Thank you, Jen.
But anyway,
Thank you, Nicole.
thank you all.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. And with that, let us now move on to item F. And I'd like a motion for F1 through F7.
So moved.
Thank you, trustee.
Second.
And a second by Vitoriano. See, thank you. Let's see, F7, I do believe we have some speakers on that. Is that one? Yes. Do I have to log in again? I'm not going to log in. It takes too long for me to log in. So F7, we have some.
Speakers?
Yes, we do. We have 4 speakers. Megan Phelps, Sanjana, I should ask, Ganguly? Ganguly, okay. Eva Amato and Paige Rosales, and they're all virtual. So are we queued up with these folks?
You did have one in person, Theo Martien, signed up.
Thank you. So the virtual folks, let's line them up, and then the in-person person can start while we're nudging the others. Only 2. We have 2 available? Okay, come on, honey, you're here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Am I good to begin? Okay. Hi, my name is Theo Martine. I use he, they pronouns. I'm a senior at Mount Everest Academy, and I'm here to represent Youth for Climate, to advocate for our climate strike resolution. So from being the first to pass the Youth We Oil resolution to prioritizing student voices through SWARE, SDUSD has long championed student advocacy. Passing this resolution annually reaffirms the support. In order to fight the climate crisis, we must be able to articulate the problem and the solution, and also understand how to effectively advocate for change. This requires climate literacy and civic education, both of which these strikes would promote. These strikes also give newer activists an opportunity to begin engaging with activism for the first time, and brings more people into the movement. Thank you so much.
And thank you. We have, Megan Phelps is not present. Sanjana, you're up next. Ganguly Fitzgerald. Okay. Give you up to 3 minutes to speak. Where are you? Please unmute yourself. And Janet, please unmute yourself. In that case, do we have Eva Amato? And if either one of you can unmute, okay?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much for letting us talk today. I'm here with San Diego 350 and Youth for Climate in order to promote this bill. We're super excited about this bill. This resolution to excuse students for school strikes is incredibly important because it would increase student participation and overall turnout of each event. Students would be more compelled to stay involved in future climate action and keep an open mind about climate justice if they felt welcome to the community, which excusing absences for climate strikes would do. We would really love for San Diego Unified to show support to school climate strikes because it reaffirms faith and authority in students my age. The youth of today have had so much taken from them that we become wary and feel unable to rely on current systems to meet our needs. San Diego Unified is incredibly progressive and has already shown support for social justice issues, so supporting climate action and education seems to fall into the line of reasoning. If these absences were excused district-wide, it would show that San Diego Unified really listens to their students. We are so excited to see the turnout of this meeting, and thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you. Do we have Sanjana? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sanjana Ganguly Fitzgerald. I'm a sophomore at San Diego High School, and I'm speaking today in support of the resolution moving to excuse absences in honor of student climate strikes. This resolution is one that is of incredible importance as it is intertwined with the rights of us students, as well as the grave issue that it is tied to in its relevance, the climate crisis that us youth are tasked with bearing the brunt of as we move into the future. The San Diego Unified School District student body, the individuals that this board serves, are youth like me that are living through the ever-lessening time that we have before this planet reaches its point of no return. We are struggling with this burden every day, bearing the knowledge that if things don't turn around now, the effects of climate change will be irreversible. Our futures will be sacrificed, and thus it is only right that our voices be raised to the ears of those in power. This board must support the struggle that us students willingly set out on, as it is of the most importance that this board supports our futures, our rights, and our voices in relation to this incredibly pressing global issue that will inevitably be thrown to face us in the very near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the other two are not present and didn't show up. Okay, thank you. Do we have any comments from board members? Otherwise, we'll go with the vote. Yes? Oh, okay, over here.
In regards to F7, I just want to say, whether it be, preparing an essay or video on the experiences of global climate walkout or documenting planning time, the active support and encouragement of professional educators truly equips students with the confidence and competence to effectively advocate for climate action. And whereas climate change can impact the education sector quite directly through effects related to the damage of education infrastructure to the physiological stress resulting from exposure to extreme weather events. It is more important than ever that education systems like ours respond to the climate crisis, which is why I'm honored to co-sponsor item F7 along Trustee Barrera.
Thank you. And why don't you give us your vote now?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. And the rest of you, press your buttons. And that passes unanimous. Dr. McQuarrie is out. And we have the students concurring with us. So thank you all for that. It's very good. Thank you for that. We all need to wake up and listen. Item G. Let's go on to G.
I'll move item G1.
Okay, I'm second on that. Okay. Basso, thank you. No staff presentation. And we do not have any public speakers on that. So any questions from the board members? If not, let's vote and let's see. We do have the students this time. Nepomuceno.
Aye.
And Gitoriano.
Aye.
Thank you. And the rest of you, please vote. That passes 4. No, Dr. Mike's not here, and the 2 student board members concur. Thank you. Let's move on to item G2, which is an information and an action item.
I'll move item G2.
Thank you. Second on that? Thank you, Pereira. And with that, we
Thank
have any
you.
no public speakers here on this one either, so you go forward.
No, thank you, President Dr. Whitehurst-Payne. This evening, I have the privilege of welcoming Sarah Vilma and Terry McKerney, who will be speaking on behalf of the Career Technical Education Advisory Committee and sharing the annual update to the board. And I will turn it over to Sarah Vilma. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Jackson and Board of Education. We're very pleased to have Terry McKerney here today, our chairperson for our CTE Advisory Committee and our stakeholder input group. Our group, CTE Advisory Committee, validates our needs and strategies as part of our comprehensive local needs assessment that we do every 2 years and revisit annually. So this presentation will share data and information regarding highlights from the 2021-22 school year, and then focusing on goals for the current school year, 22-23. And Terry, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the chance to speak with you, members of the board. As Sarah said, I'm Terry McKerney. For several years, I've chaired the CTAC. I am not a parent. I'm a businessman, and the reason that I'm involved in this is because as a businessman, as a member of the community, I'm interested in the quality of education that we provide students, particularly with the goals that we have under the CCTE construct here, which is to prepare students as they exit San Diego Unified to be either career or college ready. And I've become convinced over the years that the CCTE program is absolutely key to that. We'll present some data that kind of backs that up. First slide here, just basically overview. And our CTE programs in the district cover 15 of the 17, 12 of the 15, it used to be 15 and 17, 12 of the 15 areas for CCTE that are recognized by the state. An important thing I want to note here is we've talked several years about articulation, that is the giving of college credit through the community college system with our students. And as you see, we've made tremendous gains with this over the last couple of years. And this has not been easy because it's been required to bring together both this district and the community college district, and frankly, to get past some of the educators at the community college level and make them realize that the quality of education that we're providing should be such that they can grant college credit for the students here. Next, please. Just a quick overview, a couple of quick slides, just to give you an idea of the scope of programs that are offered at our high schools. So this slide is the first of the high schools. Next, please, is the second high schools. Then the final slide here, we've talked for years about pushing our CCTE programs down to the middle school level, and you can see the progress that's been made in that. These are the middle schools and the CCTE programs that they offer. As Sarah talked about, we are in the midst this year of doing our comprehensive local needs assessment. That's associated with our Perkins grant. You can see what Perkins 5 gives to us in terms of money here, but the requirement for that is that we do this self-assessment. So next, please. So we look at these 5 areas in doing this local needs assessment, and the CTAC actually sits down and goes through a very extensive process of reviewing what our CCTE staff has provided us as the goals for this assessment moving forward. We'll talk about a couple of these areas in the future, but those are the areas that we look at. As I pointed out earlier, one of the things that we are most interested in is having articulated college-level courses. As you can see, we have 35 courses and 15 pathways, and that has over 8,000 students, and 56% of our pathways do have articulated courses in them, and that's an important thing to realize. This is an effort that takes our educators, students. It also requires a very data-driven approach, and we'll talk a little bit about these. But the other thing that it requires, particularly in the CCTE curriculum, is involvement of of our stakeholders, and it also involves a good deal of career counseling and assistance for the students. And I think one of the things that's most impressive to me is the level of help we give our CCTE students within their CCTE programs. Next, please. This is just quickly to show you the kind of data that we look at. I'm not going to get into the data that's on this chart because it refers to the way some of our students are doing in terms of meeting the requirements for college articulation credit. But again, I want you to understand how we subdivide and how we study at that level the sort of progress our students are making. Next, please. The good news here, 26% of our graduating high school kids in San Diego Unified have completed a pathway, and a pathway is our gold standard for completion of CCTE programs. We go to the next slide, please. We'll dig a little bit deeper, and you can see here what has happened first over the years, but to take a little bit deeper dive, you can see that about 80–90% of our high school students in San Diego Unified will take one CCTE course. Then you drop down and you'll see that between 40 and 50 over the years take 3 CCTE courses in their high school program. That's a pretty good chunk of learning that's being distributed by our CCTE programs to our high school kids. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because this is my view, again, that number we looked at, 26%, which represents a growth of over 50% over the last 5 years in terms of completion of the pathways. That's where we're kind of at now. It would be great if we could take those 40 to 50% of the kids who do 3 courses and have them complete the pathway at the same time. But there's a lot of reasons why we can't get every kid through a pathway. It has to do with scheduling, has to do with availability of courses, and so forth. So we're probably doing okay at the level we're at now, but it would be great to see those kids complete more pathways. And we're trying to find ways to acknowledge the pathway completion. So this year we gave them certificates. I've talked to Ms. Bielmo. It would be nice if we could give them something a little bit more solid that would be a little more recognition for those, again, 26% of kids that complete the pathway. As far as our kids go that complete the pathways, as you can see, they have a very high rate of graduation, higher than most of the rest of our student body. Next, please. To take a little bit deeper look at that, you can see over the last couple of years the high level of graduation rates. And what's important about this chart is it reflects that higher level of graduation for our pathway completers goes across the demographics of our students. And that to me is particularly exciting, including our English learners and our special education kids. Our CCTE completers do better in terms of the smarter balance, and this reflects their English learning arts. They're above the district in that, and if we go to the next slide, they're very competitive with the math as well in terms of being meeting or exceeding expectations. Next, please. One of the things that we do best in the CCTE programs is have the students work together, and the morale of the students in a CCTE program is just extraordinary, and I could tell stories about that. But the long and short of it is these kids are proud to be in these programs and they help each other. So one of the things we were able to do, we talked about tutoring earlier, well, we got some money and the kids are doing self-tutoring here within the CCTE program that they're in, just to keep themselves moving forward. Next, please. There's a lot of things that go into CCTE programs, but one of the most important things that we're doing now is working on this career development aspect for the kids, and it involves several things. Some of them are programs such as Adopt a School, as you can see there, and the Think a Bit Lab and so forth. The other thing we're going to talk about, if we go on, please. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about some of the resources that we provide the kids in their own career development. But let's go back and talk about what we did with our learning assessment here. And this was, again, the CCTE's, the CTAC's primary function this year was taking a look at the areas that we needed to look at, again, reflecting back to the Perkins grant so far. And we looked at all 5 of those areas, but I'm going to show you here just a deep dive into what we did when we looked at 2 of these areas, the first being the student performance. And you can see the level of detail that we went down. into. The staff prepared these recommendations for the strategic advancement and the strategic goals of the program moving forward. And what we did as a CTAC is went through these and made comments and made recommendations. So, for example, one of the things we discussed at length was the relationship between the CCTE programs and the VAPA programs. We'd like to see that those two merged a little bit closer, and again, that's part of what the CTAC does. If we go to the next one, the other one we looked at all 5, but again, another one we show you here is where we looked at the program size and scope. And again, you can take a look at the sort of goals that the CCTE department and the CTAC have examined and validated for the program as we move forward this year. So let's go back and take a look at some of these initiatives that the CCTE effort does to support their students. So among those things are things like self-exploration and really what we'd call career counseling for the kids, and giving the kids the tools that they need to take a look at their own place in life and how they can move forward within this larger context of a career. And that's kind of important to us. So we move to the next one. And you can easily see some of the tools that we're using. This Zello is kind of an interesting tool. And what's different about the use of Zello in the CCTE program, I feel, is any student in San Diego Unified can access Zello and use it to help plan his or her curriculum and his or her path forward. But what we do in the CCTE department is we have counselors and we have people dedicated to working with the kids and helping them fill out that Zello form and use that tool to map their way forward. Go to the next one, please. That includes work-based learning, which is a key and very important in our CCTE programs. And again, that's where people like me from the outside come in. We need to provide from industry locally these work-based learning initiatives, whether they be classroom visits, whether they be visits to the shop floor, whether they be internships. So if we move on, please. So some of the work-based learning things that we have done this year, and you can see them as we kind of go across, and you can see the number of partnerships we have when we look at the next slide. You can even see that we've had scholarships as well as internships. So that's the involvement of the community of industries that want our kids to be educated, to come and be able to work with them through these pathways. Next, please. The Innovation Showcase is really the kind of the capstone and the best advertisement for our CCTE program. So I'm going to go ahead and just let the video we've got speak for itself here. This is a cool video here. There we go. Oh, there we go. This is one of those that worked at the rehearsal, right?
Last week, Thursday, the CCTE Innovation Showcase was held at the Town & Country Hotel in Mission Valley. This is where the Marston's 6th and 8th grade PBL projects finally got to show off their stuff after many long months of work. Let's have a look.
On Wednesday, May 25th, the San Diego Department of Career, College, and Technical Education sponsored their annual CCTE Innovation Showcase. Held in Ballroom A at the lovely Town & Country Hotel in Mission Valley, the showcase featured the work from over 40 high schools and middle schools from around the district.
Marston was well represented by Miss Holland and her engineering robotics team. The 6th and 8th grade PBL teams, led by Miss Hashimoto and Miss Thomas, finally got a chance to show off their hard work from the last few months. All Marston teams received high marks and many compliments.
The Innovation Showcase is an opportunity for the San Diego CCTE to display the many and varied project-based learning programs they sponsor throughout the district. It's also an opportunity for students to take their learning to a new level by sharing what they've created and learned with the community. CCTE offers programs of study in a variety of disciplines: technology, finance, hospitality and culinary, engineering, construction, health, wellness, and more.
Students moving to high school should look for a CCTE class or pathway in a field that interests them. Maybe we'll see you at an innovation showcase in the future.
So the only points I'd make is, one, the food is really good, and they're prepared by the culinary schools all just come out and put on the dog. Secondly, you may have noticed that those kids were being graded on their projects, so this was a competition as well. And finally, I'd point out this was done by Marston in their media program, and they're a middle school, so you see that. Okay. We had our summer enrichment as well, and you can see the things that we did, which went all the way from just offering credit courses to enrichment courses to internships. So that's what we did on our summer vacation. Next, taking a look at our focus areas and working sort of from left to right, you see where we're talking about having our standards and academic achievement, again, integrated pathways and advancement to college articulation. Again, the second item, though, would be that self-exploration, that resource provided to the individual CCTE students. So they're not only getting the academic training, they're getting that motivation and what they need to move forward from a career sort of perspective. Work-based learning opportunities, again, very important to us. And finally, our focus at the CTAC is also on what are the industry certifications that we need, and the ability to offer certifications to kids in those programs that you see there is really key to us in the CCTE program. I point out that we now have a regional collaborative that goes across a couple of counties. It's well funded, and you can see the people that are involved in those discussions. So again, the involvement of a wider community, both business and academic at the college level, in what our CCTE courses should be offering. Finally, we got to give a shout out to the people who make it work. A couple of years ago when I talked to you, I pointed out that the CCTE staff had fallen to a really low level. We're back up to where we really need to be now. We have counselors as part of that and people that are assigned to work with the community colleges in articulation, and can't say enough about these folks and the work they do. It's a truly collaborative environment, and I enjoy being associated with it. And with that, Mrs. Vielma will be glad to answer any of your questions.
Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation, and I love hearing about your middle school. I couldn't believe they did that video clip, though, right? They're ready for professional work, aren't they? Oh, yes.
This is a situation where it helps to get them early. And you know, you realize that, you know, those kids may not wind up being newscasters or whatever, but they're focused, and they have to work together to do that project, and they're learning how to work as they go.
Very good. Thank you. We do not have a speaker, but we have several trustees who'd like to speak.
Yeah, just thank you, Dr. Whitehouse. Terry, as usual, thank you for everything that you've done for this program for so many years, and your reports to the board are always very clear and allow us to focus on, you know, some of the key areas that we can get better at. And tonight, it seems like our focus should be about increasing that percentage of students that take the full pathway. So I was wondering if, you know, Sarah, if you could give us a few thoughts about what are the most important strategies that we can move forward with to get that number up.
Yes, thanks. Thank you, Trustee Barrera. Yes, definitely. That is one of our key focus areas, is how to increase our pathway completion rate. So one of the things that we've been focusing on over the last several years is awareness and being able to have clear documentation and marketing materials and information that can be shared with parents and students, and have our counselors be able to communicate and understand what a pathway is and why it's beneficial. So those programs of study documents are now created and are on our website that can be accessed for every school and every industry sector, so students can use them to plan out earlier their 4-year plan, 6-year plan, and now being able to incorporate and add that into the Zello platform. So that is coming this year, where now they'll be able to select a pathway specialization within Zello and see the courses as they build out a 4-year plan. So we feel that that information and access to that information early on will help students understand and be able to plan out the pathway and then understand completion. The other thing that Terry showed in the presentation is that recognition for pathway completion. So in really looking, we piloted that with Morse High School, and they gave out to every one of their pathway completers at their senior awards night recognition and certification for completion of the pathway. So we want to expand that and grow that.
Seems like we would like to get to the point, and I can imagine this is not an easy thing to do, but where, especially when counselors are working with students as they're planning, their high school careers, that completion of a pathway is almost the default. That we're going to assume that we're going to, and
really build it.
And build it. Yeah, exactly. So
I'll say before Sarah got here, we had this. I think we had an issue with counselors. And using CCTE courses is just another place to put kids. And I'll tell you the story I had once visiting Morse automotive program, which is just a terrific program. And so you ask the students, well, what do you think about your program? These were the kids that were in the pathway, and a couple of them said, well, the only thing that bothers us is when they put kids in the program just to dump them here, and then they bother the class and hurt the rest of us. So I mean, that's the kind of motivation you see. But I think we've got counselors now in the CCTE department, which works out, but there is an education thing for.
Yeah. And I should also mention that the Zello platform gives data back to counselors, back to the school, about student interest. So we can now see when students take a matchmaker assessment, what careers they match to, which can then guide the conversations to completion of pathway and their future goals.
And it seems like that allows us to push past, to the extent that we still have preconceptions that CCTE is, you're either on a college track or you're on a CCTE track, and we know that that's not at all the case.
Right.
And so, for students and families who are thinking about, well, I want my kids to go to college, and you're better off having gone through a career pathway,
exactly.
To prepare yourself for the college,
And before we let Vice President Bazo say something, I want to say something about Morse since you brought that up. It really was very disappointing. It is disappointing to hear that, because one year, I think it was Ford that used them as a stealth company. They came here, they actually used Morse High School as the lab to, was it Ford Company?
I think, I don't recall which, but I know that.
And State Farm or Ford, I believe it was before I was here, but I've heard about this amazing event that happened at Morse in the auto body.
It's a terrific program, and I gave them the car that I got wiped out on I-5.
They repaired it for you, didn't they? But this was, they had a, what do you call them, when they are modeling the cars and designing, they were doing a test run on them, and they didn't want their competition to know where they were. So Morse's lab was so good, they used Morse High School that summer to actually design them, and the whole thing was going on. It's ongoing. Our students had that level of quality they could walk right out and get jobs.
They walk out of that program and some of the other auto programs with the patches on their sleeves and walk right down the street and can work for Mossy or.
Yes, absolutely.
But what got me is how motivated those kids work. That's the important thing. Facility is great, but what about the motivation of kids?
And since you mentioned it, we do have a new instructor in that pathway, and we're really looking forward to exciting things coming out. World-renowned instructor in auto body paint and refinishing. So a lot of good things to come.
And thank you. I just wanted to add too, thank you for all your hard work. This is an amazing program. We saw Marston up there, which is in the Claremont cluster. I know that the principal there works very closely with Ethan Williams at Claremont High. And they have a very good partnership when it comes to the pathways. It's wonderful to see that connection from the middle school going into the high school. He's had me over a couple times. They do a whole entire internship program at Claremont that I've talked to Dr. Jackson about that we need to expand to other schools. It's amazing. Students in their senior year can intern at like local companies, and I was invited, the Boz Institute, which was mentioned on there, it's a research lab. The students go there and they shared their findings. One of the girls had taken saliva from her dog's mouth and had like researched everything that was in the saliva. I mean, it was like very interesting. And then another kid went to Mission Bay and researched what was in the water, which was a little scary to see what was in the water at Mission Bay. But and the kids got to talk afterwards with the research scientists, and some of them said, well, I initially wasn't really that interested, I thought, in science, but now it really encouraged them to explore that more in college. So it was really cool, again, to see that in action, and I think especially in the Claremont cluster, they've done a great job, and I'd love to see that more expanded, especially that internship program they're doing.
Yeah. And Dr. Jackson, did you want to say something? I just want to say that I just think you're right. The default needs to be that you complete something. Yeah. In the old days, you had to do one or the other, but you can do it all. We want our students to be well-rounded, especially now with the cost of college and universities. I mean, it's absurd. Even you have to take some college if you're going to be a fireman or if you're going into construction and so forth. So we just need to just encourage our children, let's go to college and get something that we can use, or something in high school. The program is there for us to come out and not just hang around and say, I'm going to work at McDonald's, but I'm actually looking for a career, something I can do down the road. So thank you all for coming and bringing that to us.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We need to vote on this.
So we need to vote on this, yes. And yes, we need to start with our students. Left, right here.
Aye.
Aye.
Oriana, Musinha. Yes, and let's press our buttons so that passes unanimously for those of us here with the students concurring. And with, thank you very much. And with G3, no student vote here. A motion on this, please.
I'll move item G3.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, and we don't have speakers as noted, no student vote, so let us just vote. Thank you, and it passes 4-0.
I'll move item H1.
Thank you. A second on this? Okay. And let's see, students can vote on this one. No comments from anybody, no speakers. So let's go with Monsignor
Aye.
and Gitoriano.
Aye.
Aye, and the rest of us will vote electronically. That passes 4-0 with students concurring with us. And now,
I'll move item H2, public hearing action on the resolution for the issuance of negotiated sale of bonds.
Let me just say on this one, it's kind of tricky. I've been told we need 2 votes on this, so I'm going to break it up. We're going to do the first part before the and, which is the adoption of resolution authorizing the issuance and negotiated sale of not to exceed from Prop S, Prop Z, Prop YY, etc. So we'll do that part, and then we have to go back and do the second part of this after the and get that one online too, okay? That's what staff has said. So for the first one, we have Beiser and...
I'll amend my motion to move item H2, the adoption of resolution authorizing the issuance and negotiated sale at not to exceed $100 million of Prop S bonds, not to exceed $150 million of Prop Z bonds, and not to exceed $350 million of Measure YY bonds on San Diego Unified School District.
Okay, thank you. The rest of that, and you're okay with that? Yes, thank you. So let us vote. And with that, we need the student votes on this, I believe, so yes.
Aye.
And
Aye.
aye, okay, and the rest of you? So that passes again unanimously with the students concurring. And now for the second part.
Now I'll move item H2, the adoption of resolution authorizing and directing the issuance of and sale of not to exceed $45 million of general obligation refunding bonds and not to exceed $30 million of forward delivery general obligation refunding bonds of San Diego Unified School District.
Second on that? Thank you, Barrera. And Nepomuceno?
Aye.
And Quitoriano?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, and the rest of you press the button. Okay, that too passes unanimously for those of us here with the students concurring.
I'll
Thank-
move item I, the superintendent's consent agenda.
And a second on that. Okay, and we have a speaker on I-14 in person. D-Wall, is it? Yes. Yes, please, 3 minutes, thank you.
Okay, so I think this is an item that Dr. Jackson's just kind of going to ratify. So I wanted to speak to Dr. Jackson, I guess. I support this plan to use the National Conflict Resolution Center. I looked at it on the website, and I printed this up, the Code of Civil Discourse. So the Code of Civil Discourse on the website is awesome, and the program's budget of $1.4 million seemed a little bit high to me, but it should be able to hopefully help a lot of students. I do see a need for this program. I wanted to share an example from this school year. Is last week at my middle school son's neighborhood high school, an English teacher defined fascist in class using the words authoritarian, which makes sense. He also wrote on a whiteboard and everything, white, Christian, Trump, heterosexual, and Republican voter. I worry that since I fit that description, my son knows this, I feel like if he was in that class when he gets to high school, he would feel persecuted and oppressed in the biased learning environment. So I hope to sit down with the civil discourse mediator and teachers like that, kind of to find out why they think that someone like me believes in fascism or supports fascism because of the way I vote or because of the way I was born or my religion or my family's identities, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that honest conversations with maybe a mediator seems like the best way to keep hate out of the teaching and to promote your goal of the inclusive environment where diverse perspectives and opinions are shared and considered. So I hope that you will, once it gets all through, help share families how when they come across something like that, to get together and actually talk. And I think if that teacher literally met me, he would understand that I'm not a fascist because I support Donald Trump's politics. And my Christianity doesn't make me a bad person, and I want to understand why he thinks that and help make it so that the environment where my son is and all the other kids don't feel scared or whatever, I think you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing, and I defer that to you. Thank you for bringing that to us. And with that, no other speakers on that item, we will vote. And let's start first. Let's see. We don't have anything that students can't vote on, so they're able to, yes. Let's do Quitoriano first.
Aye.
Aye, and Nepomuceno?
Aye.
Thank you, and the rest of us are voting electronically. And that passes unanimously for those of us here with the students concurring. And that takes us to the end of the agenda. There we have some non-public testimony. Let's see. 5 in-person speakers. And they are Harry Hasker, Pam, Nima, student parent advocate, and Kurt Stevenson. And you have 3 minutes each.
Hi, I'm Pam, and I want to say I was glad to hear you, Mr. Beiser, mention the dude who is accusing people of being fascist, because the teacher at Madison High School. We all saw the whiteboards. We saw his language that was discriminating, accusing, race baiting, and intimidating to minor children in the classroom. These minor children are held captive to a teacher's thoughts, bullying, whatever, and they have no recourse. They can't object. They can't run out of the classroom for fear of repercussions. But one brave student took photos and reported the hate in this environment this individual created. The principal, Hilgers, has mentioned that this dude is a teacher from La Mesa College CCAP. Reportedly, Mesa College is looking into it. I don't care about what Mesa College is doing. I want to know what this board will do to prevent this individual from ever setting foot on a campus in the district and approaching or speaking to any student in this district. So I hope that you as a board will report back as to how this issue and this individual is addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Harry Tasker, Nima, student parent advocate, and Kurt Stevenson. In that order.
Good evening, board. Thank you for seeing me. Good to see you again. You know who I am, right? You have my name. California Teachers Association has my name. A couple weeks ago, they just sent the wrong email to the wrong people. They've been doing opposition research on parents like me, right? And I've been ignored by all of you. This is my 4th time up here. You know my issue. Right? I have little children in an elementary school. They set up an elementary school lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer club. And they refuse to notify me and the parents that I now represent, just if they show up. You've heard it all from me. So let's get into it. We've heard what happened with that other teacher now. And like I've always said, what we're seeing in the education system, they want to hijack your kids and hide things from parents. And we have a radical left-wing indoctrination going on in our education system. It should be just about science, et cetera, et cetera. You know the deal. So we did listen to Dr. Jackson's 30-minute welcome to the New Year speech and how inclusive he was, and I appreciate that, you know. So I'd like to take you to task, and we at Southern California Parent Advocates are officially submitting our request to fly a Christian flag after we have been marginalized by your teacher. We want a Christian flag flown up on the district. And we also want a Blue Lives Matter flag. So if you are so inclusive, then this won't be a problem. I'm not asking for a permanent thing like you have those flags. Just asking maybe for a day. And by the way, we're not anti-LGBTQ. We're not anti-club. Look, I'm not anti-LGBTQ. But what we're seeing is very unreasonable left-wing indoctrination. So what are we going to do? We pay their salaries to indoctrinate our children behind our back while we go to work. And we have to wake up and we have to read about this. We have to stand up and we have to support these groups. These lawsuits in Coronado by the parents of Coronado. Lawsuits in Poway going on because of their mask tyranny by Poway Unified School District Fight for the Children. Support groups like SDUSD Parents United, East County Parent Alliance, and Santee for Parents, and we got to speak up and be that person on top of that hill, because come November, we're going to flip as many school boards as possible in this Southern California region and take back our education system. I don't want to browbeat you guys. I want to be your friends. I'm going to wrap up.
Thank you.
I don't like talking to you guys like this. I know you work hard. You do stuff for the community.
Thank you.
But you've ignored me. You've ignored me.
Thank you.
It's not nice.
Nima,
All right, so take care.
student and a parent advocate, and Kurt Stevenson.
Hi, my name is Nima Torabzadeh, and I'm a junior at Mira Mesa High School, and I'm here today to discuss the negative impacts of school laptops and tablets on students. The mobile devices provided by the school cause two problems. One, it fuels a screen addiction, and two, it increases student stress and reduces student efficiency. A poll conducted by a Common Sense Media, a nonprofit that focuses on how to protect minors from the negative aspects of technology and media, have discovered that 50% of teens feel addicted to their mobile devices, while 59% of parents feel that their kids are addicted to their devices. As a teen myself, in high school, I can tell you that those stats are not exaggerated. And as someone who's recovering from screen addiction, the school assigning work and communicating through the devices make it hard for me and many teens who are trying to stop and recover from screen addiction. Another problem mentioned earlier is it increases student stress. I can think of many instances on how the devices can cause many stress-inducing situations. An example of this is the constant awareness to needed to protect the devices from damage or theft when out in public, like when I leave it in my car or out in school, watch out for it. Another common issue is the device randomly malfunctioning during a test or an assignment. I can list dozens of scenarios on how the devices can cause stress and reduce efficiency. To sum it up, the removal of the mobile devices in the schools will greatly help reduce screen addiction, lower stress, and increase efficiency. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And you are?
Kurt Stevenson.
Thank you. 3 minutes.
I appreciate you guys listening to me. Again, my name's Kurt Stevenson. I'm with a company called Safe Haven Defense, and I'm here to talk about safety. Safe Haven Defense is a company that provides a laminate, it's a proprietary laminate material that goes over glass, doors, and windows that make it resistant to bricks, bats, bombs, hurricanes, bullets. And we have been in business for 6 years in other states. We've recently opened a section here in Southern California, and I'm going around and introducing myself to the boards if they have any questions about what we do and how we can help protect the students. I'm happy to do a presentation at a later date. I just wanted to come up, introduce myself, and talk a little bit about the company. To date, we've done over 300,000 windows in schools. We've done over 80 different schools in a variety of states. And the most unique thing about our product is it protects from the outside in. So if we put this laminate on your safe rooms or doors or windows, an intruder outside cannot enter. He can't fire a weapon into the building. But if you have officers within the building, they actually can fire out. So it's proprietary, it's unique, and if anybody has any interest, I'm happy to stay later and talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And a student and or parent advocate. Thank you.
I have an instructional concern, and I'm a student and parent advocate. And I'm here to inquire about the recent publication about this article that talks about a San Diego teacher defining fascists to class as whites, heterosexuals, and Christians. And it states that on September 1st, a teacher at, quote, Madison High School in San Diego claimed fascists are synonymous with the modern-day Republican Party and white Christian homosexuals. According to a student in attendance, this instructor wrote on the whiteboard for the class, quote, the Republican Party is a fascist party, and it does not fit the mold of a Democratic Party. And, quote, it is currently constituted. The Republican Party is now a fascist organization that no longer fits the category of a conventional Democratic Party, as noted by photographs in the article that the student took during the class. The teacher continued with his radical left-wing indoctrination and wrote the word fascist, underlined it, and listed Trump, heterosexual, white Christian, hatred of foreigners, immigrants, and minorities, among others. But according to the student, what really stood out to him was when the instructor made the comparison, quote, of the Republican Party to the Nazi Party. And that was really offensive to him. He listed the Republican Party and the Nazi Party as similar, and that's just ridiculous. And I took offense to that, so I took a picture of it, unquote. And also, quote, he just kind of put up that they're fascist and they support a fascist government. And immediately, he didn't even ask the class about it. He just made the assumption right away that whites and Christians automatically support a fascist government. This happened in an English class at Madison High School. This is dangerous indoctrination, not education. What possible value is there in fanning the flames in an already overly divided environment? Kudos to the student for standing up for what they thought was right. Not so much for the principal, Fred Hilgers, who deflected responsibility, stating he didn't know that's what was going to be discussed, but it was his responsibility. He should have known what was going on in his classroom, on his campus, and with his students. This is total indoctrination of a left-wing political ideology and is totally unacceptable. The principal and the instructor need to be reprimanded. What are you, board members, what are you going to do to ensure our students are not subjected to this destructive indoctrination? Again, I'll make reference to the settlement agreement I gave you a
Thank you.
copy of. People and lawyers in this settlement agreement are taking notice, so you need to take this seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. We have two additional speakers, James Tillery and Joanne Fields. Please come in that order. And this will be it because we'll be at our 21 minutes. 3 minutes each.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm James Tillery, introduce myself, and I would like to enlist the cooperation of about 5 of you board members to help in a civil matter pertaining to a former student at Lincoln High School, and his name is Tariq Harris. And we'd like you to come down as witnesses in the civil hearing pertaining to the case. And so I'd like to give 5 of you members the subpoena document. Should I just come up and hand it to you, or will someone? Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Field.
Good evening, Superintendent, school board members, staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Joanne Fields. I'm the Government and Public Relations Director of the Asian Pacific Islander Initiative. First, I'll share my concern because I do appreciate all the school board members that I was able to contact, and that was Member Beiser, Dr. McQuarrie, Dr. Whitehurst Payne, and Richard Barrera. And I didn't have your phone number, Ms. Bazo, otherwise I would have contacted you as well. But I had a concern regarding the hiring process of a community relations manager within the communications department. Communications is an issue that was brought up during many times throughout my experience working with San Diego Unified. It was identified by Superintendent Cindy Martin when she was superintendent that part of the 2020 vision was to address communications. When we did the superintendent search, again, we brought up communications as a concern. So when this community relations position opened and people called me and asked if I was on a panel, I said no. Then I started calling around myself. Are you on the panel? No one's on the panel. That should be on the panel as a community liaison to ask what are the community connections. Because what we experienced most recently during the search is that thousands of text does not mean it's going to reach our community, even if it's in language. If you provide translators, if the outreach to ask for translation is not offered in the outreach, that's like going to a restaurant saying, I want pizza, but you only see on the menu hamburgers. You only see English and Spanish offered. You don't see the other languages that should be offered. So I bring that up as a concern. And I heard that the process, and thank you, Enrique, your chief of staff, Superintendent Jackson, updated me that there is a halt to that process, and it'll be revisited. So I look forward to learn how you're going to move forward with the hiring process. But I want to end on a good note, great note. I'm so excited to hear our students advocating. They're on the dais. Our Mira Mesa student talking about, you know, the screen, like, I'm addicted. I just learned that because, yeah, we're so hooked up with our technology. So I'm really excited with our students and the programs that are working. But the communications of telling the whole community this is happening will show more the great work of San Diego Unified. So that's why, again, it's so important for communications to be offered for all people in all different formats, and that we should be a part of the process, just like when we were searching for our superintendent, just like we're on a panel for our principals and vice principals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And with that, this concludes the agendized business of the board. I want to thank everyone for participating and sharing your thoughts with us. We will review them, and we're here to serve our students better in the community. Thank you. Our next meeting will be October 11th, 2022. This concludes our meeting. Thank you.